Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you're at in the world. I am Brick Something, and today on the Brick Something News, I've got Cheynee180 from the Toy Migos. What's up, man?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. And for full disclosure, we don't confuse too many people who are wondering about what's going on. If you're watching this on Sunday, July 20th, and you're wondering why we're not necessarily addressing your chats, it's because this is pre-recorded. So yeah, we are doing this a week
In the
plus.
past.
Yes, in the past.
Yeah,
and I am actually in the future because we're doing this, as I was just telling Cheynee, because me and the fam are heading back to Japan. Yay! I'm gonna leave this place for a little bit and take a little bit of a break. I need a timeout. So yes, but so we'll be, doing this premiere. Please chat. I believe I may be up to maybe chat and hang out too. But
and
otherwise,
hit those likes.
Yeah.
And, since he's in Japan, throw a couple super chats in there. Share with your friends. Let everybody know we're here. We're gonna be talking all kinds of cool stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about the needless ephemera me and Cheynee saw. I appreciate, look at that seasoned YouTube guy right there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe and all of that. Because actually, in addition to kind of doing my normal Sunday stuff, I'll be doing a couple extra pre-records throughout the week just because I'm on summer, right? We were just talking, you got to go and enjoy a movie on this beautiful, what is it, Monday afternoon?
Yeah, Monday afternoon, yeah.
You've got an educator in the household, so you get some benefit of summer break like I do.
Mm-hmm. And then I also work a strange work schedule, so that's why I wouldn't be able to hop on with you on a Sunday. Right. I work the weekend, so I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it works out greatly in the summertime because my wife is off, and so we get to spend a lot of time together in the summertime, so it's great.
I love it. Yeah, summers are big like family time for us. So I greatly appreciate, despite some of the other aspects of the job, both my wife and I are teachers. So it works out really well for us in the summers. Anyway. Okay. So this is how it works, folks. While we're talking, I'm a visual person. And so there will be in that QR code next to Cheynee's left shoulder there. You can go there, or you can look at the URL that's going to pop up on the bottom. Go there for a document that'll have all the links to everything that we're looking at. If we're looking at people's coverage, whether it's on social media or on YouTube, go over there, say hello to them, click like, click subscribe, do the things, follow, because really that's a huge part of what I love to do. I love to bring on folks from the community, and I love to show other great things in the community because, like, at the end of the day, we know, like, this plastic habit of ours. It's fun. We collect stuff, but it's like meeting cool people, talking to them about like the stuff we love, geeking out, getting sweaty, all that stuff. So, yeah. What is that? Did that come with that effect?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Hey, let's start there because you're a big X-Men guy from what I've gathered, and we'll talk about the channel and stuff. But let's start with like collecting. Where do you how did you get into toys and all that kind of geeky stuff? And then what's your things as well?
It's a long story. So I started, what was it? I've always collected. Like I never stopped buying toys.
Okay.
Ever since I was a kid. I remember this one kid had showed me back in the day some of the X-Men books and even Spider-Man back when Eric Larson was drawing it. And when he was fighting the Sinister Six and he had the metallic arm brace thing. he showed me that, and that blew my mind. I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I'd had Secret Wars stuff, I had superpowers toys and stuff, but I didn't really like jump full in until around then, because he was like explaining some of the storylines, and then I saw the Jim Lee X-Men stuff, and it just blew my mind. It was like I was addicted immediately.
Nice.
And so the Toy Biz X-Men figures started coming out. I started picking those up. I continued with Toy Biz all the way until Marvel Legends came around. And when Marvel Legends came around, I was probably in late high school, almost out of high school. Kept collecting Legends until those were done.
Right.
In there too, I'd seen that Soda was doing a Street Fighter, so I started picking those up. I loved Street Fighter growing up, and I was like, okay, awesome. So I was picking those up, and like I just kept collecting stuff. I got really into 3/4 inch Star Wars stuff for a long time. Collected that, especially like when the Clone Wars stuff came out, because they were so different from the other Star Wars stuff. Like, I had collected Power of the Force, Power of the Force 2, when they look like the buff He-Man characters and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Swole Wars,
that stuff. I never had stopped collecting, and it took a little bit of a back burner here and there. Like, it wasn't like, it was like if I went to the store and I saw something, I would pick it up, but it wasn't anything what it's like now. Like, it was funny, because it's like through like most of my 20s, it was like, okay, I'd pick up stuff and have, some displays in my room or whatnot, and it looked cool and everything. And then after I got married, it was like, well, I always did want to get the rest of the players colorway for the Soda figures, and this SH Figuarts thing with Dragon Ball is looking really awesome. I've never seen anything like that before, and I went all in on the 3/4 inch Clone Wars stuff. I had full armies of everything. I started putting displays all over the house, and then I got Instagram had come around, and I saw some of the articulated comic book art stuff, and I was like, I like that a lot. I love that idea. So I started taking pictures of my stuff, and then I started posting in there. And the first post I posted in there, that you go in there and there's criticism, it's constructive criticism, but it's like some people, they can't take it.
Right.
And so it's like I took a lot of the words of wisdom, and I put my ego aside for a little bit, and I utilized these tools that these people took the time out of their day to help me and comment on my post with, and I grew there a lot. Shout out to the ACBA guys, like all of them were super awesome. Shout out to Boog, like he's always been super duper cool.
This guy's great.
Yeah, and I never stopped collecting, dude. Like, I got into that, and then it was interesting, because one of my friends, he's like during work, he was like a delivery driver, and he's like, man, I listened to my coworker, he's on a horror podcast. And I was like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. He's like, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? And I'm like, no, not really. Like,
what year when would that be? Right around that time.
2015-ish, 2014, 2015.
Wow.
Somewhere around there.
Over 10 years now, man.
Yeah, no, in I think it's September or October this year, it'll be 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, yeah, no, I had never considered it. And I was like, well, who could I even do a show with? Like, like who am I going to talk toys about? Like, I knew people online here and there, but it was like, I didn't know anybody well enough to like, and I didn't know anything about the way things were then. I had no idea how to set up a show or anything like that. So I had to like delve in and do some homework and learn how to do things. But first I was like, okay, who do I know that I can get this set up? And my friend Michael that I had gone to school with since first grade, his brother Ernie, I would see him at Toys R Us and we would talk for like an hour. Like we'd run into each other and just chat it up forever and ever. And I was like, that guy can talk toys. He could talk toys. Like, I'm going to reach out to him and see if he's interested.
Awesome.
So I called him. I hit him up about it, and we were supposed to have a third person hop on too, but he had moved to Mississippi at the time. And so we couldn't finagle a way to have us be here and kind of like pipe him in and get him into the conversation. And so he kind of was like, it's all good. I don't, I'm busy and whatnot. And it's like, okay, no worries, So we set up shop and we had my laptop and a microphone, and we would sit kind of like hovered over the microphone and start talking into it.
So different.
Oh, dude, way different. Like he would come over once a week and we would record the show, and I had to learn how to like mix it down so it sounded good and where to upload it at and all these different things. And it was like, once I got that down, it was like, okay, cool. Like we're cooking now. We're doing shows. This is awesome.
And that was Toy Migos. Was it always known as Toy Migos? That was the start of Toy Migos.
Yeah, no, that was the
audio only podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Are those still up somewhere?
They're on SoundCloud, but my what I was doing then, if I was to ever re-upload them, I would need to cut all the intros because at the time I was using licensed music in the intro. So I would, and then cue us in or whatnot. And so I had to come to a place where it's like, I need to start making, or I need to get someone to make some music for me that's or not licensed so that I can, broaden what it is that we do,
Right.
So all of those episodes that we didn't have, our own music, they're basically privated. So, because I was getting dinged on them after a while, it was like, SoundCloud's like, we're going to remove this. You've got to, this, that, and the third. And it was like, okay, cool, no problem.
So how many years back do you think you have, after you started getting your own music and everything, that's sort of as an archive? Like talking 7-8 years worth of stuff still, or is it less than that?
It was probably, I want to say maybe 2018, 2019 when we moved over with our own music.
Okay. It's about 6 years. That's cool, man. That's still like a really cool, either way, you have, those old things, you have access, I'm assuming, since they're all private, but that's pretty cool to be able to like, go back and have this sort of back catalog and remember those kinds of those times, and also see the sort of changes.
Every once in a while, I'll bring up like when we have like a what is it, a celebratory like 100, like 300, 400 episode. I'll like play the beginning of the first episode, and we're so green, dude. We're so green, like just hey, what's going on? Whereas to now, it's like, we've got it down. We've been doing it for a very
totally
long time.
Have it down. Sometimes it's like, it's amazing. The show just kicks in, you do your thing, you would do the introductions, and then like on a Tuesday, Ernie's there. It's like, all right, you're the most important part of the show. Like there's just a spiel, but it doesn't feel like a weird script or an authentic.
No, there's a flow. There's a flow.
There's a flow, and it's fun, and it's just like, okay, cool. We're all hanging out. It's like, it's a Tuesday hangout. So that's awesome. And that's really cool that you and Ernie go back well before the show. So I guess that brings us to the Toy Migos as it sort of is now on YouTube. Yeah. And so
because we had made a transition from audio only to YouTube, and that was a big growing experience as well. We had gone on a hiatus for a little while because it was just I needed to take the time to figure out if I was going to be able to move to video. And it was just like, I was burnt out, and I was like, I'm going to take a break for a while and decide if this is something I want to keep pushing, And then I went to DesignerCon that year, and I met Adam,
Nice.
And after that, it was like, oh yeah, no, I totally want to keep doing this. This is going to be
guy.
great. We're moving to video, so we got it all dialed in. And at first, when we were on YouTube, we weren't on the camera, but eventually we all got onto the camera, and we've been there ever since.
That's awesome. So I think I started listening to or watching maybe like it was like pre-lockdown, right before lockdown, I think, just sort of like lurking and listening. And then during the lockdown, like, like many people, life moved online in many ways, and you get comfortable with the idea of like, oh, say hello. And pretty much it's been like every Tuesday, every Thursday when I can do it. And it's been awesome. And I love what you all do. I've rocked this like in town here in San Francisco. Where were we? Just walking around. Didn't even realize there was going to be like this little art fair. And dude's like, "Hey man, I love your shirt." It's like, "Yeah, you familiar?" And Total's like, "Yeah, I watched this." Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So you've built a thing, and it's great.
It's crazy to me because it still just blows my mind. Like I still am in the mindset most of the time that it's like, me and Ernie sitting in the room talking to a microphone, and there is no other end. And then when we started on YouTube, it was like we had like 5 people watching or something like that. And shout out to Jurassic Jesser. He was the first person that ever super chatted us after we got monetized. So
dope. I love it.
Dude, it's wild to even think that like people in other, towns far, far away are like, oh man, yeah, no, like that they recognize it in one. It's wild to me. It blows me away every time I hear that.
Definitely. And it's, it's a cool time. Like it's like hanging out with buddies, we're all online, and, you actually make it really interactive with the chat. So if anybody's watching this and isn't familiar with the Toy Migos, shame on you, but head over there right now, right here on YouTube, go at Toy Migos, follow. It's a good time. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Let's actually talk about the show. Actually, rewind. The Toy Migos is kind of a stable and sometimes revolving of different folks. And here is the latest art that kind of has some of the current key players. I think mostly everybody's here, with some, some folks kind of hopping in and out. You got Ernie, you got yourself chilling on the cloud. Shout out away, Chamba was here and done an episode of the news. But this is all his art. And I just assumed, like back in the day when I asked him about the art, and when I was doing that whole Toy Migos, he was like, "Oh no, that's not actually my logo." So let's take the minute to shout out who was doing the art prior, like the logos for this. And
that actually came from my buddy Mikey Teal. I went to him and I said, "Hey, I need a logo. This is what we're into." And he's a graphic designer, and so he was like, "All right, I'll run up a couple things for you, and you just let me know." And then he went with that Scott Pilgrim font, and I was like, "I love it. Yeah." And then Chamba, he hopped in and started listening. He became a part of it, and then he started like running up things, and I was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's amazing! Like I love that. Like the fact that he drew us all is still like mind-boggling to me." Like,
and it's actually, this is an updated one. You all have had art for like some your icons and like in the image in the sort of intro for a while. His art, it's awesome, man. Like obviously like a legit talented professional illustrator artist, and so here he is, like, and you're basically getting drawn as like awesome larger than life comic characters in the Chamba style, which is awesome.
I can't ever thank Chamba enough for everything that he does, man. He's so helpful with everything, and just, oh my God, I don't know where I would be without him. I tell you.
Oh, he's great, man. So, I'll go from right to left. You got Jay Shot and Machu. I love it in their Sentinel shirts. I love that. You got Augie here in his. Yeah, we don't see enough of that combo outfit anymore. What was that? 2 years ago at SDCC was the plan for you all to kind of do. This isn't exactly the onesie, but like that outfit,
and the romper. He's repping he's repping his April O'Neil colors there. So
and he is a twin. So sometimes if you're watching on a Tuesday, you'll see his twin there. So if you get a little confused how his hair changes all the time, Junior, his brother, is on.
You got to have both
Mario.
of them on, by the way.
Yeah, like you got to prove that it's that it's not some weird kind of act that you all are playing on us on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right.
We've got Mario, who frankly I miss that guy. I haven't seen him on enough. He was here a couple weeks ago, so hopefully he'll be able to come back on a little more regularly. But there's Mario's with an M, which is a fun little thing. We got the guy. Look at this guy, man, in full-on Dragon Ball form. He's got power all around him. Lago Figs. He's jumped on. Chamba there. Look at that, repping that purple pencil. Is that his color? Yeah. Is that what that is?
I don't know. I think so. It might even be for well, no, what is that? Between Two Sentinels I can't read it actually.
Oh, that's right. You're right. It does
see.
Have,
let me see.
I see a 2 on there.
Yeah, it might be. And he also has a Jurassic Jesser t-shirt on.
Nice.
That's if awesome. I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong.
And his copyright, well, tribute, I guess, Chamba hat, right?
Yep.
We've got Adam, who decided to turn part of his body towards the camera, aka playing with myself.
Yep.
We've got Dario, who his hair, like I noticed him and Junior, the hair situation has changed over time.
All the time. Yeah.
And then again, you two, the OGs. It's cool, man. And I, watch a show. There's some fun stuff related to this. The intros are great. Some of the art, the evolution of the fallen Fett. He's become kind of a prominent character in his art form. So.
Yes. Yeah.
All that.
If anything, we say that Ernie is Chamba's muse because he's always like, I gotta draw that.
I love it. All of this for anybody who's watching this episode and watches my show, but for whatever reason has not yet headed over to Toy Migos to check it out. Like, this is just even describing the characters, and you see the energy that's here. It's fun. It's super nerdy. I mean, you see all the references and like great personalities. It's cool. Generally safe for work. Sometimes,
sometimes we toe the line. Yeah.
No, but generally you have a pretty clear, like, as far as like cursing and stuff. So it's safe. I'd say some of the jokes might go way over kids' heads and all that. Sometimes I have it on TV, and sometimes I just don't care.
Yeah.
But just look out for Adam when he's on there. But no, it's a good show. I love it. So let's break down the shows before we get into some toy talk. So here, actually, because you're super organized, I appreciate it, man after my own heart. You're kind of the person behind the scenes doing a lot of this, the sort of production, I guess is what you kind of call this, the organizing playlists and tracking everything. Okay, so shout out because it's super organized. But like, here you go, the Chat Migos assembled. These are Tuesday nights, 5:15.
Yep, 5:15 Pacific Standard Time. Yeah.
And so why don't you break down sort of like the idea of what the Chat Amigos are and sort of what ends up happening in this, generally speaking, every week on this show.
Okay. So the initial concept of this came from the Discord, the Toy Migos Discord, where everybody hangs out in there and they talk toys in the voice chat. And I was thinking to myself, because it was towards the end of, lockdowns and everything, and we had done the Quickie Minis, which we were doing daily shows Monday through Friday for a little while, then Monday through Thursday. And it was like, well, there's something going on over here that's really cool. And I don't want to necessarily completely kill the Quickie Minis because everybody loved it. So it's like, let's kind of fuse that into this, keep Tuesday's show. And what we'll do is we'll highlight a bunch of the members from the chat. And so for a long time we were highlighting members from the chat and whatnot. And once again, shout out to Jurassic Jesser. He was doing all of the guests, getting a hold of the guests for that. So he was handling all of that and murdering it, by the way, just doing a killer job. And if you check out his show, you'll notice they always have fresh guests and everything is very cool with the guest choices and everything over there. So shout out to Jesser for that. He's a phenomenal guy. I can't say enough good words about Jesser.
Very
But
true.
yeah, so we would highlight that, and then slowly, we would get people would hit us up and say, hey, like what are like, well, I've got a Kickstarter or whatever. So like we're generally
Right.
open to everybody now, but initially it was like, this was really to highlight the talk of the news. You know what I mean? It was like, okay, we'll have someone on, we'll introduce them, and then we just jump right into the news. There's no funny business. It's like, let's get straight to it and knock this stuff out. And that's kind of like the gist of it. Like we really try to focus more so on the toy talk, and this is a different cast than Thursday night. So usually it's myself, Lago, Chamba. Mario was a staple for a while. He can't be regular right now, but I'm sure he'll be back when he can. So we got J Shot and Machu hopping in when they can, and then Junior, he hops in as well. So at any given time, it could be a super full stream, or depending what we got going on, it could be a light stream. But either way, we talk about all the new stuff coming out and what the new announcements and whatnot.
And usually when you're sort of asking the guest, you'll put him in the hot seat, right? And you'll ask him a couple questions before you start. And I got to say, I miss this.
Yes. Yes. I too missed that. StreamYard took it off on my end. So I
might be able to help you with that after.
Send me that and I'll bring it back.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was totally like the second you did and you guys started talking about it a little bit and breaking down like, oh, this reminds me of this, the old whatever Sega Genesis car game or whatever.
Jet Moto. Yeah.
So yes, but it's again a good time if you haven't heard me say that enough times, because it's super fun and it's real concise. Hour. All right, folks, gotta go.
Yeah, it's a real quick, like we stick to an hour. We try not to ever be late. So at 5:15, I guess the intros and whatnot start rolling, and then we're there till 6:15 or maybe a few minutes after that. But we know that people got work the next day, they got stuff they got going on. It's in the middle of the week, so we try to wrap it up and get it done and put as much as we can in there.
You'll run down the news, and it's still, it's still a little bit haphazard. You and I were saying before we started, it's impossible to cover everything because there's so much. So then there's the Instagram, of course, you guys do your thing, and then you kind of pick from there, and it's great. Then Thursdays, you do They're Not Dolls, again with its own type treatment. But I got to say, in addition, let's, if you heard Cheynee talking about his ACBA days and taking pictures and getting his critiques, all of that has led to this is all you, right? Every single one has been your photos.
There's probably there's probably been 3 or 4 that are not mine, but everything that you're showing there are all photos that I took.
I love it. So like, here's the whole playlist. I forgot what you're in now in episode. Do you remember, like, roughly?
434 was on Thursday. 434.
I'm a sucker for like I was saying with the old podcast episodes of just documenting stuff and sort of seeing it. So even just flipping through this is like looking at Cheynee's like photo work. And I know a lot of these are because I'm assuming you're doing them the week of, or do you have like a backlog already?
I try to get ahead of it sometimes, and I'll fall back behind. There's literally days where I'm working on the photo right up until the show starts.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
Yeah, and then it's like, or there's times where I don't get it, and then when I post it for audio on Spotify and whatnot, then I'll upload the thumbnail because I just ran out of time. There's stuff, life happens sometimes.
Of course.
Some weeks are great when it's like I can knock it out on a Monday, and I'm like, all right, awesome. I think last week I knocked it out on like a Wednesday or something, and I was like, all right, cool. I got, I don't have to worry about that. I think we had something going on. Oh, that's what it was. We had my daughter's volleyball finals. So I was like, I got to get all this done on Wednesday so we can go to the game. And then as soon as the game's over, I got to run back home and get on the show. So
great Blanca shot here, like totally selling the pose. All of this stuff. It's really great. And, it's like kind of me, the channel. I have a design background and art background, and like I teach. And there's definitely some creative work going on in that process, but like this channel and doing it weekly is kind of is an outlet. Like,
Oh yeah,
get to do a video, or get to do a bumper, get to do these graphics, get to figure out the layout, and that all kind of satisfies a little bit of the desire. But it's really cool, man. And it's still like you've got a look and a feel, a brand. Like there's a Toy Migos brand, and you're doing a great job with it. Even though, we've got different type treatments, but it's like, no, I know exactly what that is. It's so cool, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I picked that up initially when there was a competition that they had at ACBA called Photo Combat. And they were doing it weekly. It was like a weekly thing where you had to do weekly submissions. And so I went through that, and I did fairly well, I want to say. I didn't make it to finals or anything, but I grew exponentially because I was trying to get these photos done week to week. Yeah. And so when we started doing this, I was like, I'm going to keep that schedule.
That's awesome.
And there's sometimes I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Don't get me wrong. Like that one right there is not mine. Obviously, that's 1/6 shooter Trevor. Yeah. But they were on the show, so yeah. So yeah, I shoot photos every week, or I try to do it every week. Like I said, sometimes it'll be a good week, right? And I'm just kind of like, I got a couple on the back burner, and so I'll have a couple ready to go. But other than that, it's week to week. And you learn a lot. Like you learn a lot when you have like I guess a deadline or a crunch time,
Yep. Even just like, trying to figure out backgrounds and lighting and like all of this stuff. That there's a light sort of in front of him, and it's really cool. It actually rejects kind of conventional YouTube wisdom, right? You're supposed to be on your thumbnails going,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do that, but no. And I love this like so much more, way more interesting to me. I get it. I've had fellow ToyTube friends tell me, "Oh man, you need to do this. Put your face on it and do." You know what? I'm good with it because I love this. I love the way you've done this, and even with the Chat Amigos, it's like boom. It's the logo. There's just something about that for me as a design nerd, I appreciate so much more than.
Thank you. It's funny because this one right here was with Chun-Li. That was basically, I was inspired by that statue. Remember?
Yep.
That came out that we were talking about, and I was like, I bet I can make that work. And so I did that, and when I posted it over, I think to IG, it got mad love over on IG. Like I was like, oh wow, I didn't think that was going to do as well as it did, because I don't really like track like a lot of the likes on stuff because it's like I'm just constantly just firing it out rapid fire all the time. So it's like sometimes I'll see a notification, I'm like, oh, people are still liking that, like that's like a couple weeks old now. Like, all right, cool, got to keep trucking.
Yeah, this stuff is clean, man. And I don't know, maybe someday consider like printing up an album and just have a book and just flip through them, and have for yourself. Just it's such a cool record of work. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to look at the super old stuff and see the difference from then to now, like especially like in my like lighting techniques, and even like my posing is different. Like it's just my whole approach and the angles and everything is way different from when I first started.
Yep. It's great stuff, man. So
Thank
toy
you.
photographer, collector. Clearly, you've got plenty of toys to shoot. You've been collecting forever, and there's a ton behind you. It's great. I love just everything that you're doing sort of for this hobby. It's great. It's kind of your thumbnails are like just a celebration of both the toys, of toy photography, of the whole toy tube thing. It's really cool.
It definitely gives me an excuse to mess with them. That was one of the other things that was appealing when I saw that like people were taking pictures of toys like this and whatnot. I was like, this is cool because I'm not just like stockpiling them up on shelves and then never touching them. Like there's times when I'm like, I have an idea and I'm like, all right, let me go back here, grab this. Accessories are over there. Cool. I've got this, I've got that. Okay, this is what's in my mind. Let's see if we can make it happen. Sometimes it's like, oh, that's exactly what I wanted. Other times we're gonna mess around, and it takes a while to dial it in. And yeah, no, it's a fun process.
Great stuff, man. And then let's just quickly go through some of the other shows. Like, this isn't necessarily a regular show like the others, but when there is a big show related to stuff coming out of, well, not just Japan, it's imports in general, whether it's Wonderfest or I forget some of the others, the Tamashii Nation sort of announcement stuff. But this stuff has been really cool. And you've only started this not too long ago. And I remember the first one I was, and then I started getting behind on some of them, obviously, but it's cool because I noticed, like, before you tended to cover a little bit more of, and then at some point it became kind of a joke with some folks because they'd be sitting there like, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this.
So especially when they have these shows, because it's like this is like, news dump of all these new import figures, and it's like me and Chamba could go on forever about it.
Yeah,
but it's we have to think like, okay, there's other people on the show. Right. They might not be as in depth with it as we are. So it's like we kind of like came up with the idea together. It's like, why don't we just do a show that just highlights the whole thing when they have these big shows like Smile Fest or One Fest or what is it, the Tamashii Nations, or I think there's like One Fest Shanghai and stuff like that. So when those happen, me and Chamba will hop in. Sometimes it's like an hour, other times it's gone on over 2 hours because
the first couple ones are longer.
Just because there's so much. And so it's like, we both love a lot of that stuff, but then if you notice, if like you watch it, there's like a whole other world in there that we don't know anything about, like too.
Statues or whatever. Like, I don't know.
We're just kind of like scratching the surface of it, and the surface of it for us, or compared to other people like that may be on the other shows, is like that's a deep down rabbit hole. Like it's wild.
Yeah, so that's a good time when that comes up. I love those. I'm just kind of I'm in a weird mode of collecting compared to a lot of folks. You didn't get too into it, but I know X-Men right now was kind of a big driving force in terms of your filter for a lot of, like, say, Legend stuff. You're using the X filter to kind of at least narrow what you're getting. Not always successfully.
I used to collect almost everything. I used to pick up almost all Marvel Legends, and then it got to the point where they're just rapid fire so much where it's like, and there's other stuff like more Street Fighters coming out because there was a long drought from Soda to now where we're at now. Like, I know NECA attempted it for a little while. That was a thing. SHF picked it up. I loved the SHF ones. They were great. I wish that line would have continued, but it didn't. There was this long gap, and then obviously Storm was still putting out figures, but it's not like it's the scaling, the scaling. I was like, I can't really fit this in with some other stuff, and I was still picking them up. Don't get me wrong. Like Storm has held it down with Street Fighter for a long time, and then Jada came in and was like, well, what about these? And it was like, oh, wow, these are great. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And then now we've got Revoltech doing Street Fighter. Now we've got Storm's doing 112 scale Street Fighter. We've got, what is it? I forget the name of the company now, but they're going to be doing Street Fighter in 112 scale. So, yeah, we're getting a lot of different options.
Yep.
A lot
You're
of
also getting some like third party stuff. Like there's a lot of renewed seeming interest and movement around the IP and different versions of the IP, which is kind of cool. And I know you've kind of we'll definitely circle back to Street Fighter as we start talking toys. But as far as like import Migos, that's cool when it happens. And then of course you're still doing reviews as things come in, and as folks can see, a lot of the ones that come up in the beginning are Jada figures, whether they're Street Fighter or otherwise. And again, featuring your photography or shots of, that you're taking while you're reviewing. And you don't review everything.
No, I wish I could. How do
you decide like, oh, this is a figure I want to do a review on? Is it just like, I'm enjoying this? I have something to say? Like,
in the past, I want to say when the SH Figuarts Street Fighter came out, I noticed that because we talked about Street Fighter a lot. Those videos ended up getting like a lot of love, and plus I love Street Fighter, so it's easy for me to just kind of like knock out a video. So if you see like probably a majority, if you were to go through everything, is going to be Street Fighter or X-Men related.
Right.
But then there's other things in there as well, and I would love to do videos on more stuff. It's just time constraints. I mean,
Of course.
I've got, a family and a job, and then I do 2 shows a week and a thumbnail for one of the shows, and, planning on all of that. And I've got 3 different videos right now that I still need to finish to upload that are like, it's like, I'm sure people would enjoy watching it. I haven't gotten around to uploading them.
Oh, I'm familiar.
Yeah. And I still have the figure of the month videos.
That's right.
That you all do go up for June. Yeah. So that's a whole other production in itself. And that'll be going up tonight. When you guys are watching this, it'll already have been up for a while. But if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. There's a lot of fun stuff in there. Shout out to J Shot. He's just been blowing.
I was going to say
every single month.
Like, just a little tease. The crew, the Toy Migos crew, gets together and they share the figure of the month, and everybody sort of shoots and produces their own, and they get stitched together. And lately they've been like, it's almost like it's like, I don't know, art film showing. It's like it goes all over the place in terms of just like production and style, and it's great because everybody can just sort of show what they want. Sometimes it's just here's my figure, talking about it. Other times it's an adventure. So
it's a full production. Yeah. You get a little bit of everything in it. And that's the whole concept too, is it's like, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be like, all right, this is the thing that has had my attention for the whole month of June. Like, here it is right here. This is, and let me showcase to you why. And everybody has a different way of doing it, and it's awesome. Like,
cool. Yeah. So definitely check those out. Let's actually do a little bit of a drill into this one, the most recent review, because this figure isn't necessarily widely available yet. Is it even out? I definitely haven't seen it around these parts.
It's out in Asia right now, but not officially in America yet. So
got it.
Jada sent this to me to check out, so I was able to get it, I guess, a little bit earlier than most. And
so it's not something that happens often for you, right? That's this guy is, I feel like you're like first on the list to check out the latest Jada stuff, which is awesome. And
and I'm very, very humble and very thankful of that.
You are.
Yeah. They send me stuff to look at, and I try and make it the best production value that I can do, and I try to show off, everything to the best of my ability. And I'm not just praising the figures all the time. Like, I have legitimate concerns that I do bring up, and nitpicks, and these are things that I do bring up in production. There was a moment during production or when they were making Cammy, and there was no swivel on the braids.
Right.
And I said, is this are you going to articulate these? And June was like, well, we hadn't really planned on. I'm like, you got to do that, dude. Like, there's no way that, like, you got to at least put a swivel in there. And he was like, okay, noted. And then he threw a swivel in there, and Vega's got a swivel on his braid as well. So I'm not trying to toot my horn by any means, but I truly want the best for these figures. So it's like, I'm not just praising whatever they are, like,
you're doing the work, supporting the cause of getting the best possible action figures, especially for an IP that you clearly have a connection to. You're like, I want the best versions of these I can get. And so, and it's great. And we're getting we're getting these and then some, right?
And then some.
But this figure looks really like it's fantastic. My thing is, so it's funny. We talk scale, right? And scaling, you're mentioning that with the Storm. It's weird now. Like, we say 112, but what does that actually mean? You say 6 inches. What does that actually mean? It's almost like you could say, true 112, or like you could say SH, and that would mean one thing. Then you could say G.I. Joe classified. That'd be a different thing. So
it's weird. It's almost like there's a 112 import scale and a 112 domestic scale, because 112 domestic scale usually is around 6.75 inches.
Right.
112 or 112 import can be anywhere to like 6 inch to even like right just hovering right around 6 inches. So.
Right. And it's funny, I feel like domestically in the last just couple of years, it's hovered too, right? There's like almost different, like even within Hasbro, classified scale a little bit larger than your Marvel Legends, like a little bit. And then you've got things like where I tend to live in this like science fantasy world of like, you know, your Mythic Legions, your Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, your Masterverses, and those are over there. It's like anywhere between, like, really, it's like, this is 110 maybe, like it's, but we still call them, oh yeah, they you know, an advertisement solicitations, they say 112 or whatever.
Right.
So I tend to live in this kind of giant world where they're like these guys, people are always saying like, oh yeah, no, they're close to like 6 inch. No, they're 7 inches. Like actually, if you measure an AWOC, or if you measure, there you go. If you measure a Savage Crucible, they're actually legit from feet to head 7 inches, but we still sort of say 112.
But it kind of fits in with like the rest of that world, because you would imagine if there was a beast-like creature, they're not going to be, you know, normal scale. They're going to be bigger and beefier because they're part beast or they're, you know, anthropomorphic characters. So,
and I don't worry too much about it because I tend to live in kind of fantasy world, right? Oh, this ghost is tiny because he's a ghost.
At the end of the day, it's your collection, and you get to do what you want.
100%.
You know, and I think that's what some people will forget sometimes. And it's like, no, dude, like it's yours. You do whatever you want with it. Like they're your toys. Like.
Well, that's where I was going with that is this. So when it comes to the Street Fighters, generally speaking, I had, you know, the first ones I got really excited. I grabbed them, you know, Ken, Ryu, Fei Long, Chun-Li. And then I was like, man, they're great, but they stand out because they're so small. And so kind of moved on. I still held a couple. But when Sagat, the big guys came out, I was like, okay, cool. No hesitation. I mean, just I'm always in. I'm going to keep grabbing whatever ones that work out. And Vega's one of those that I'm like, oh, I love the look of him. I could, you know, he's got this look that could, you know, go up against an AWOC character. You know, he's got the blades and all that.
Yeah.
But is he a little bit taller than your Fei Longs? And he is.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's like in between. Yeah, where's he at? He's
probably closer to like Guile.
Okay. Yeah.
I know he's taller than M. Bison. He's not as tall as Sagat, obviously. And what's wild is like in comparison with the Soda one is actually almost as tall as Sagat. Because the Soda one is like super lanky and tall. So yeah, you can see right here how tall the Soda one is. So it's wild, but he's still pretty tall. Like it's not, he's not short by any means. It just, there you go. You can see where he sits with M. Bison and Sagat. Got the
man, that Sagat is one of my favorite figures this year. I picked him up when, you know, we got to see each other at WonderCon. And man, we were selling AWOCs, but Sagat was hanging out with the AWOCs just because I had so much fun posing him up, and he like fits right in. They're fantastic figures. I love my Fei Long. I gave my Fei Long actually to a student. A lot of my toys are in my classroom.
Nice.
And man, it's I've told the story before, but the biggest reason is because most kids don't even like bat an eye. And this kid's like, oh, you've got this. And then he's like, oh, you've got the Street Fighter. I've been looking for Jada. Can never find him. And then he starts like, oh, those are Mythic Legions. I was like, oh, you know Mythic Legions. All right. So you're like invested in this stuff.
Yeah. You know the names. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So I was like, you want it. You've been looking for Fei Long and you can't find him. Like, no, I can't find here. And so I'm just excited to like support that because he was like one in a school of about 1,000 kids. Like he was the most invested
dude.
Ever. So I was like, here, dude.
Heck yeah.
But anyway, this figure looks great. Check out the review there. Let's go ahead and start moving and looking at some of the other stuff. Since we're on the Jada front, I know you in about a couple of days, I'm assuming, because this show will be airing on the 20th, we'll be heading down to SDCC.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are gonna full on get like it's not even just a Toy Migo house. It's like a couple of folks are gonna get together and be in the house this year. Who else is gonna be there with y'all?
This year it's gonna be myself. It's gonna be Jay Shot and Machu, my buddy Nick, and Adam will be staying with us.
Gotcha. Are you doing the whole like getting together and streaming from the room again?
Yeah. We're gonna do a live stream from the from our Airbnb. And so it'll be on at the same time that the normal show is on at 7:15 Pacific Standard Time. And then immediately following the live stream, we're all going to go hang out at the Punch Bowl Social in San Diego.
That's right.
So if you're in the area or you're attending Comic-Con and you want to come hang out, we'll be at the Punch Bowl Social around 9 p.m. So you can come hang out and we'll talk toys and have some drinks and just hang out. Like, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, there's a couple of folks. I know a lot of folks are going to be, but also going to be an independent toy panel. And I know Spiro and Jason and Adam will be down there. I think Jason will be on the panel talking about his story. Run by the dude who handles the Fist guy. I think he's sort of hosting an indie toy panel. I don't know if you remember those, the Fist line of sort of, if I'm remembering correctly, they were like orcs and versus humans, but like modern military. Out of, I think, Colombia.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
But they're putting together an indie toy panel. I forget what other folks will be there. I think that might be the same one that Odious Wade will be at. Which
I think he's on that panel as well. Yeah.
Which I gotta say is just cool. Like, it's really cool to see. You know, of course, everybody who's doing toys, Hasbro, their panel and be revealing stuff, and Mattel. But it's kind of cool to get that indie toy sort of energy in at SDCC. I hope it goes well. I hope people go and check it out, and just keep doing it, because I think for me, a lot of the most exciting stuff coming out of the indies right now, and the smaller companies like Jada. Jada like came seemingly out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Obviously not out of toys. Like, they've been doing toys forever. But when I first saw June on Toy Migos talking about the Street Fighter line, and it was really cool because he kind of talked about what that was like and how he did his research and how he was like the guy trying to make action figures, highly articulated action figures, happen at Jada, and damn, he sure did it. Like, you can't go anywhere right now and talk about toys without people just love letters to Jada all the time.
Yeah, I remember when they first showed the teasers for that they were doing Street Fighter and that they were going to be at Comic-Con showing them off. Yep. And I was like, all right, let's see what this is all about. And so I went down there and I started talking to June, and I was like, oh, this guy collects. He loves Street Fighter. Like, this couldn't be better. You know what I mean? Like, this guy loves Street Fighter. He collects like a bunch of Ninja Turtle stuff. He collects NECA stuff. He collects a bunch of the same stuff. Like, and it's like, this is going to be great because he's going to push the envelope to try and get the most out of these figures.
Yep.
And man, has he killed it. I got to say, him and his team, man, they've done a great job.
They really have. First again with the Universal Monsters, and then from there getting access to things like, the Chester Cheetah. And we were all like, how's this going to work? And what an odd IP. And it not only works, it's like some of the coolest figures, right? Some really like clever stuff in terms of details and sculpting and articulation. You're like, oh, yeah. And packaging, which is like my jam for some reason.
And you're not going to get that out of, someone that's not an action figure head. You know what I mean? Someone that they live and breathe this life, that they're like, they're chomping at the bit, waiting for that package to come to the door. And then when it gets there, they're opening it up. They're looking at all the fine details. They're moving the joints. It's like, okay, oh, they added this. That's a new thing. I like that. Okay.
And the inevitable, oh, what if they did this? What if they hid that calf, in the wrap, right? Or what if there were like really cleverly hidden toe hinges? I'm just, yes, if you can't tell, I freaking love that Sagat. But yes.
Yes.
So they'll be at SDCC and they're doing some exclusives, and don't need to go like super into detail because that's not totally the show. But what I'm just like, I've heard you guys talk about this, some great commentary about this figure. I love folks who are just like, I don't like these colors, but at the end of the day, it's a really cool variant. Like for me, what's interesting about this as an exclusive is that, just the figure alone, this kind of figure, I think makes 100% sense for
absolutely
Comic-Con exclusive, right?
Absolutely.
But what's extra exciting is it wasn't just that. It was like, okay, there's some additional maybe like pieces in here that you're not getting the others, like these effects pieces. This was the thing that people are like, whoa, and they teased it. They just teased it with the sort of blue flaming body, and we didn't know, is it just going to be that? That's just amazing. But now it's coming with this M Bison, and I think that speaks to what you're saying. Like, it takes an action figure person who's about that life to go like, what do we really need to make this special? Yeah, sure, we get a color variant, but what if we pack this in? And thinking about the property, how do we really honor the property and everything that comes with it in a way that the other lines just haven't yet, right? We haven't seen this yet.
My favorite part about these, like, because they did it last year with the Chun-Li, is you get the player one accessories packed in. You get the extra, I believe, head sculpts or whatever for M Bison here that are player one. So you're adding to the value of your player one, also picking up, these pieces for that come with the player two. And the same thing goes with the Dalsim. He comes with the player one head and then the player one fists that weren't included with the first release. So
oops, where was Dalsim? That's not Dalsim. Oh, like it's all just him. Let me go back. I'll get back to Dalsim, because the Dalsim in particular is one, even though I said what I said about scaling, I think I'm still gonna get him because I love I'm gonna see if I can track it down, but I love the colors on this guy. I've always loved him. It's just so odd and in a good way. And this head, excellent, right? With that effect, like that's we haven't gotten that in any of the other companies, from the other companies yet, right? We haven't got that.
Dalsim's kind of an enigma because they made a soda version towards the end when they technically weren't really soda anymore. After Jerry Macaluso had sold off the company. So they just kind of like threw some stuff together. They're real rough sculpts. And if I remember correctly, he didn't come with a flame effect. So we're doing something that,
hasn't happened.
We're getting something that we've never got before. And it's been awesome. I can't like the fact that like we're going to have the whole roster. There's 5 more figures left and we're going to have the complete Street Fighter 2 roster. Is insane.
It hasn't even been 2 years, has it?
Maybe about 2 years. Let me see.
It's been,
what was it, 2022 when they first showed them off? I want to say is though, because that's when Comic-Con came back, right?
Sure.
2022.
But I tend to go with like when it starts to get in people's hands kind of thing, right?
Right.
Like
so it would probably about 2 years, I want to say.
I mean, they've just covered a lot of ground, and of course it hasn't just been Street Fighter, because they've also been doing like amazing stuff with the mascots, with Mega Man, and now they've also announced stuff coming soon, like the Scooby-Doo and all that, whatever that else
stuff.
Cyberpunk. Oh, right. So I don't know. I think it's great. I'm gonna look for this guy, but these effects are killer. Who does that? The answer is like, there are some people, like some import companies, but not enough people do it, period. Like if you really love Street Fighter, like I know Cheynee does, this is it. You're like, it's cool. Yeah. Have you had a chance to, have you seen these at all in person? Have you gotten the opportunity?
No, not yet. Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen these in person yet. Hopefully soon.
Do you know much about how they're put together? Like, is that a transparent
I believe
case, and there's something inside?
There's nothing inside. I know it's a static thing, but I know it is semi-transparent. So if I'm not mistaken, you can light it up from the bottom.
Okay.
and it might light up a little bit. I could be wrong with that, but it's static. It doesn't articulate at all.
Right. 100%. It's like a slug thing, but what I guess, and we'll find out. But what's just interesting is like when I look at this outer plastic, it's very yellow. And then it seems like this orange is like almost underneath. Like when I look at this, that black burn feels like it's under whatever this yellow mark.
Yeah, under it.
Like it seems like there's some interesting layers. Like maybe I don't know if it's hollow and painted underneath or what, but I'm intrigued because it looks dope.
Yeah.
And for a slug figure, what it looks like to me is it's like way more than, it's not just a slug paint. It feels like there's something else really unique going on. So I'm excited for these.
Same here.
Stupid question. You gonna get them? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know. So that was pretty cool. Go ahead.
That's the thing. I'm a sucker for the P2 stuff. Like I love all the different colorways. There's so many fun things you can do with like the player 2 stuff. It's awesome.
And then, so continuing on that, sure, Mega Man, of course, they're going to give us Mega Man. And as Chamba's pointed out, like, who else is giving us the robot masters as regularly as we are getting? And then the next piece, and this is the thing that I've always been intrigued about being a fan of the game, was like, there's so much more than the master,
just the robot
the bosses.
Masters.
Like,
yeah,
give us like everything else in the game. And so like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping, I know this is an exclusive, but I'm hoping one, these do well, and maybe this is something they explore, not just for exclusives, because I think there's room for it. Like what I know, but man, this is Mega Man. Like it's doing what they were able to do with Street Fighter in building out the sort of world of it, right? The effects.
Yeah, could you imagine like a pack like this, but it had like the little, like say it's like 4, maybe 5 of the creatures from Woodman level, and it has like Woodman on the packaging, so you have all of the little robots from the Woodman level, Quickman level, that's
all of
that
them.
would be great.
I 100% can imagine it, and thanks to Jada, like I can see it because it's happening, which is really cool. And like think about the photo possibilities. Of course, in packaging, they're killing it with like trying to recreate the game sprites and stuff, but there's a world where if Jada wanted to, could create some of these platforms as stands, actually physical plastic ones. And if they don't, which I get it, it's like a different process or whatever. Like we're in the world where people are 3D printing and doing customizing, somebody else could.
You can easily get that stuff in many other avenues. I don't think they would have the time to dedicate to that because they're working on so many different lines now. But yeah, no, I would say if anything more, I would lean more so into supporting these people that make the dioramas that do print out the 3D prints, or you could buy the file online if you're 3D printing yourself, send some of those funds over to a smaller creator for sure.
Like when Duart did the Street Fighter thing, to me I was like, I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for somebody else. Like Duart to keep doing them, but like there's different levels to do. There's now with Mega Man, there's these things. When you get in Scooby-Doo, like the potential for like custom dios or pieces, just
it's unlimited.
It's all there. Yeah, and it's predefined, right? It's just so I don't know. I hope it happens because all that does is it creates more value for one of the Mega Man Jada by Jada, right? Having
one of the things I love about Jada and with June is like he reaches out to like some of those people to make the dioramas, to make like the soft goods and stuff like that. Like 796 Studios, he did that Cyberpunk diorama that was on display at Comic-Con. So it's cool that they're reaching out to people within the community to build these things. I really love that.
I kind of gloss over it really quickly, but what I also appreciate, even though I'm not like a super fan of having a bunch of boxes in a closet, but the packaging and the attention that they put, like the Street Fighter packaging is amazing. The Mega Man packaging is amazing. The mascots are great with the cereal boxes and stuff. And for this thing as an exclusive, I think this just like
that's
instant.
So cool. It's so cool.
They're doing great stuff.
It's crazy because like I think that's one of my favorite things about Comic-Con is seeing what kind of insane packaging that all the companies are going to do, because there's some companies they'll go just completely all out. You know what I mean? Like what is it that that Mattel Jurassic Park set this year? It's like themed around Comic-Con. The box looks like the convention center. Like it's I love that stuff, dude. I love that. What was it? One year Hasbro did a Thor and the box was shaped like Mjolnir. They had the figure in it.
And you're getting Cold Slither this year with like this Cold Slither concert, you know? Like, no, it's we're good. We're in good times, man. Hearing your history earlier and like kind of the era, it's like, I was in Jim Lee and stuff. It's like, yeah, and then you're just getting it now in a completely different form. And it's not even like mediocre stuff. It's like it's all so damn good. You're just like,
we're living in the best time imaginable, at least in our lifetimes, like the best time for action figures. Like I was telling the guys in the voice chat just last night, actually, I was like, or maybe it was the other night. Either way, I was like, we're living like in a golden age of action figure collecting right now, because if 20 years ago, and it makes me sound old, but still 20 years ago, you told me that we'll be getting the stuff that we're getting, I would have never believed you. I'd have been like, there's no way, you know, to go, like, imagine like somebody going back, or even like, someone going back like to you 20 years ago and handing you this Goku SH figure arts, and saying, what do you think about this? And your mind would be like, blown. Like, you'd be like, how?
It'd be like,
how did they do this?
It would be like, you know, George McFly, Marty McFly coming in and playing the music, really like, I'm Darth Vader. It'd be like, what is this sorcery that you just put in my hand? Yeah,
your mind would absolutely be blown. Like, if someone would have told me 20 years ago, they're gonna show off MVC Cyclops and SH figure arts, would have been all
wild.
Number one, what's an SH figure arts? And number two, what how do I, and that's a picture of it. Oh my god.
Or even this, you know, you're going to get Street Fighter figures, but you'll be able to, two separate companies will be starting to create figures, Gamerverse or, you know, Jada Street Fighter, that you could put together and basically, you know, build out your Marvel versus Capcom. Like that's, to me, it's wild. The other thing that's wild to me is that it's not just Jada now, right?
No, it's not.
And what I really like, and I know, I'll just say right up front, like I'm not into the whole, this is better than like, I would just hit a pause on that as like a video game pause and just enjoy the game. Because to me, like, as you said, we're in the best time right now. This is the good timeline, at least for toys. Other stuff, not so much. But for toys,
not so much. But that's what, and I did specify that when I said that. I'm like, everything else, we can put a lot of other stuff to the side. But right now for toys, it's amazing.
Yes.
Competition breeds greatness.
Yes.
So I'm not just going to be like, I'm only buying Jada and not Rebel Tech and not Storm. Like, no, like I had bought Soda, I had bought NECA, I had bought anything I get my hands on, and that's not going to change. Like,
and the other thing I'll say about that is about this whole conversation, especially when it comes to the Street Fighter thing, is like people are like, oh no, this is better than this. This is a game changer. This is going to kill that, blah, blah. It's like, hey, I buy action figures and some of the stuff that I buy is not the cheapest stuff. At the price point of Jada and what Storm is coming with these Storm Arenas, it's like, you know, and I know that we're all in different financial positions, but for a lot of us, you're talking $25 to maybe $30. These are some of the most affordable figures in the market. Why are you choosing? Like, you're fine.
You could do both. Like, for me, I look at it as like, that's a win. Are you kidding me? That's a win. Like, not only are we getting the original 16 characters, but we're getting Storm doing the scale that everybody wanted them to do in the beginning, Alpha and Darkstalkers now.
Exactly.
Like, how can you be upset about anything right now? Like,
Well, here's this pokey boy here. That's Tagalog for this good looking guy over here, Machu Toy, getting back at his stop motion work. He's having fun with this. This is a Storm Arena.
He loves it, dude. He loves
And
the new arena figures.
he did this today, and I'm just like, man, well done. And it just looks so cool. And as Panchisi pointed out, it's just like, yeah, this is so different from some of the AI stuff we're getting. It's so nice. And I know I was chatting with him earlier. He shared his first attempt, which was all from the dome, just like, from memory, and trying to get the animation. And then he looked at the thing. He's like, oh, this is off. And then really like studied the thing and kind of recreated it. And this thing, it's really cool. And
that's another thing too, is like, even when I do my videos, like I try to make sure that the poses are on. I like go and I'll study beforehand the sprites of the game to try and get the moves correctly, because there was one time I did a Hadouken and the knee was up on the wrong leg. And Chamba was like, that's not right. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm like, thank you for pointing that out.
He's professionally knows, like he knows.
He draws Street Fighter characters for a living. So it's so it's like a godsend to like have someone like that to just hit up and talk to and be like, what do you think about this? He's like, well, this is wrong and that's wrong. I'm like, okay, good point with that. Yeah.
This is cool. Well done, Machu. And like
beautiful.
He's definitely one of these. He's like, he's not choosing between one or the other. He's getting both lines.
That's the thing about Machu. I don't think he chooses between anything. He just kind of buys everything. So
yeah. How much? Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this, because Storm Arena, Storm Collectibles is doing their Storm Arena line, which is again this mysterious 112, even though I guess all their lines are 112 on paper. But
initially the Mortal Kombat and I think the first couple Street Fighter figures they did said 112.
Yeah,
they were not 112. They were vastly larger.
And that said, I will say this is, because this is how my brain works, this is Jada scale. Like these slot right in again. And I say that not to pit people together, but you've got Classified, you've got Marvel Legends, and weirdly, it's easier for me to go, okay, I get that size, or Masterverse. This really is same size as Jada, your Ken and your Ryu and Ryu together. We got it. And so they're doing these, and they revealed way more, like from their Storm Arena line. So we've got some Street Fighter, but we've also got some other awesome fighting games. Do you happen to know? I forget. I lose track. Is this all that's sort of been announced, or have there been other pieces that have been announced that haven't been shown? This was recently. These were Anime Expo.
Nash hasn't been showed yet. Chun-Li was shown, but in a statue form. Sagat's been shown quite a bit. These guys they were shown briefly not too long ago, but now people got to see them in person. The Lilith and the Morgan, I believe, were both grayscale the last time we saw them. Maybe Morgan was painted, but I know Lilith was grayscale for sure. So we get to see paint apps on those. And Chun-Li has all of her articulation dialed in now. So they're moving at what looks to be a rapid pace, and I'm all for it, because that was one of my biggest complaints with Storm. I've been collecting Storm since day one. Like, I picked up the first Scorpion. I picked up like 2 or 3 of the Ryus from Street Fighter 5 5 that they put out. I picked up I have a lot of their Street Fighter figures. I've been buying them the whole time they've been doing it. So I remember when they did Morgan for the collectibles line, it was over a year late when that figure came out. Juri was almost a year late. So there's a lot of like things that I have complaints with, and it looks to be with the Arena line that they're just kind of rapid firing these things out, which I'm happy with. Like,
hell yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think Ryu should be here tomorrow. So I have Ken already. I have Ryu, which should be arriving really soon.
That's awesome.
So I've got Ken and Ryu already. Sagat will be the next one to come out. I don't think they've officially announced what the next one is after Sagat, but keep them coming, because for me, it's like I'm I'm only winning here because it's like, okay, cool. There's a whole other Street Fighter line that I can collect and buy now. Like I was praying for the longest time, please, Figure Arts, bring it back, bring it back.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of more so like, oh, I really hope that Figure Arts doesn't do Street Fighter 6. That's gonna get expensive. Like I'm like, I'm gonna have to cut some other stuff off there because I don't know. So, but this is a great time to be in right now. Like I said, we've got Revoltech doing Street Fighter 6. They've already shown off
Absolutely.
Ryu, Chun-Li, Juri, and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting his name. The MMA guy, Luke. They showed off Luke. So I haven't ordered Ryu and Luke yet, but I already locked in my pre-orders.
Man, you're jumping all over with the different companies getting Street Fighter, huh?
For a long time there was nothing.
Yeah.
It was a drought for a long time. So it's like,
enjoy it while it's here.
Oh, dude, I'm eating right now, and it's great.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And of course, it's all these other fighting games, which, like they're not strangers to some of these properties in their other scale, the Storm collectible scale, I'll call it. But this is really cool. And again, it's in that nice Jada scale for the folks who are like, oh, this is better. It's like it is apples and oranges for a number of reasons. And people will say, no, they're pretty much exactly the same. Look at them. It's like, no, like right off the bat, one's Street Fighter 2 and one's Alpha, like different worlds. And now you can have both. And so it's cool, man. It's cool to see from afar. I'm definitely going to be getting that Sagat.
That's one of Storm's favorite figures to do. So like when they showed him off, I was like, I'm not surprised. Where's Zangief? Zangief gets a release for everything.
Yes,
Zangief gets they do
different trunks, different versions. Yeah,
they did. What was it? They did 5 Zangief. They showed off 6 Zangief. They did Ultra Street Fighter 2 Zangief. I'm waiting to see Zangief. I was surprised that Zangief wasn't in some of the the first ones shown.
I think they're learning. I think they're thinking carefully about this and taking, like, hey, why don't we do something maybe a little bit different and whatever. We'll see. At the end of the day, I've heard, different folks on the Toy Migos say, well, we'll see when they actually deliver and everything. I think clearly they are. I think they're at a rapid pace, like as you pointed out, faster than before. And you don't like prototype stuff and create articulation and then wait. Like it's actually kind of dead. That's wasted resources for the company. Yeah. So it's moving, and I'm going to be excited to sort of see it all happen.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see 3 female characters pretty much at the gate with this, because in the collectibles line there is only 12 female characters made. Yeah. Out of the like 130 figures that they've done.
Yep. So Storm Arena, I think it's great. Let's end with one thing. It's a little bit of an oddball from all this, but to me, it also speaks to how influential Jada's been in doing this. Not just in sort of sparking Storm Arena, but there's no way that this loose collector Burning Hammer line is not paying attention. And first off, shout out to Jay Hernandez, because this is like some of the best display of this stuff.
He's so amazing. Like I love his videos, dude.
Yeah,
like
man.
They're so entertaining and fun. Like
he speaks my language on whether it's music, whether it's whatever, it's all there. Like
he takes you to like a whole other realm. Like it's like you click on a J video and it's like, all right, let me buckle in here and we're gonna put the overheads on. We're going on a ride. Let's go.
Burning Hammer, as far as I know, it's not based on any existing, like the Burning Hammer IP doesn't exist somewhere. Is that right? Do you have to know? Or is it a game or it's just its own thing?
I'm not familiar at all. I'm not familiar with it at all. Like, I mean, I saw this and I was just like, that looks strangely familiar. That body.
It does. And so like for folks, you've seen Loose Collector here on the channel a bunch of times. I love my wolf. It's actually the only Loose Collector figure I have. I've been waiting for other ones because they tend to run in different scales. But this is like scaled almost exactly with your Jada figures, and I'll show those later. But they feel like Jada figures. You're
Mhm.
kind of alluding to this body that feels very similar to the Fei Long, right?
Mhm.
What I like about this line, though, is it's like this. I'm assuming, because I don't think it's an actual game. It's like the idea of maybe like a martial arts, maybe a fighting game. There's
Mhm.
different characters with different styles, but they're all kind of modeled after archetypes that we're familiar with if you do the martial arts thing. So this totally is like Bruce Leroy in my brain, right? And some of these other like old kung fu movies with this guy. And it's just neat to me to sort of see now Loose Collector, who has been doing its own thing, like its own scale with all their women characters, and then moving into things like Rocketeer. But now they decided, no, we want to do these sort of fighting game martial arts characters, but we're going to shrink them down to kind of fit almost perfectly with Street Fighter.
So a while back, I want to say it was probably about a year or so ago, maybe a little bit more. I was saying I noticed that the shift was coming, and I remembered the shift when in the late 90s when the shift happened, when Toy Biz started doing, MVC and Resident Evil, and then you kept seeing all these other video game toys coming out. I'm like, we're doing that all over again. History is literally repeating itself. I'm like, I'm telling you right now, I'm like, I know we've got like, and some people are like, well, there's this video game property and that. I'm like, I understand that. There is a good solid presence, but moving forward, you're going to see a lot more video game IPs turning into action figures. It's just where it's going. Like, and the popularity of Street Fighter cannot be you'd be remiss to say that Street Fighter 6 doesn't have anything to do with that. Street Fighter 6 came on the scene and just completely exploded. It's been great for the franchise. So I think we're living in this time again where it's like we're going to start drifting off into some of these other games and getting more figures from these different games,
Yeah, it's exciting. I think you're 100% right in terms of like having your sense of what's coming back around again. What is new, because of this sort of like the new boom in sort of toy making technology, whether it's the access to sculpting technology now, it's all digital and printing and being able to send files back and forth to a factory, do some troubleshooting, and like a bunch of different people having some experience working with factories now. You're getting these indies and these other smaller companies like Loose Collector being like, well, let's create our own IP that works with this stuff. I really do hope that people consider this among them. I get some people are like, that's not Street Fighter or that's not my thing. But I'm particularly interested in all these sort of indie toy lines and this idea of new IP, new things.
There's so much fun stuff out there. Like you'd be kind of like doing a disservice to yourself by not like kind of delving in and kind of looking around at some of this other stuff that everybody's doing. Like
100%.
To shamelessly plug Cursed Dead, like these are going to be amazing horror figures, dude. And they're going to plug in with everything that you have, however you want to mess with them. So there's so many different avenues to go down. You don't have to go with the majors like Hasbro and Mattel and stuff like that. You can dig kind of deep and find some of these nooks and crannies here. And if you don't want to mess with import stuff or, Chinese figure lines, you've got these domestic companies, small companies, but companies making killer work, doing great things.
Yep, for sure. And so, shout out Loose Collectors out of the Philippines doing his thing. And this stuff is cool, man. And I'm really excited about this line. I'm excited about, Marvel getting some renewed energy in Gamerverse and figures that look awfully like Marvel versus Capcom figures, right?
It blows me away, dude.
Really
like
cool.
I was like, holy cow! Like if they were to throw an MVC Sentinel in there, it's like game over. Let's just let's do it.
Yep. And what's great is, again, even if they don't necessarily get together and do all the legal work to be like, okay, let's do a Marvel vs. Capcom game. Marvel Legends, just keep doing your Gamerverse line. Jada, keep getting the figures. Storm Marina, keep doing your figures. And we'll fill in the blanks. And again...
And it's a not official collab, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And I would be remiss if I was to say I had never hinted that to people that may have worked on either side of those spectrums and said, you can do these things and you can do these things, and you don't have to really put any paperwork in to make them fit together so that everybody can buy and eat and have a good time and play with their figures the way that they wanted to.
100%. And then at the end of the day, they're both going to benefit, because there definitely will be people who maybe like aren't Marvel Legends collectors, right? They know the game or whatever, like, oh, cool. And so of course now I need to get those Game Overs from Marvel Legends to fit with my Jadas, or the other way around. Like, it's just going to create that buzz. And then I'm hoping, this is my pitch, check out the Burning Hammer stuff, folks. Throw them in the mix there. Get some new fighters. And they're also doing to me, really awesome characters. Like I said, whether it's Bruce Leroy or someone like Bruce Leroy, this is a dope looking character that, I think it's cool.
No, I agree. And I had never seen the comparison next to the Fei Long before until right now.
Wild,
I didn't know the scaling was considerably larger on it. From a blind eye, it looks like, a lot of like copied homework, but you can see the sculpts are actually very different.
Yeah. Articulation on the leg, the thigh.
Mm-hmm. It's a very different figure. It's just the fact that they're wearing the same outfit. It looks like a killer figure.
Yeah, and it's scaled. Fei Long is. I don't know what he actually is in sort of canon in the game, but if he's meant to be kind of an analog of Bruce,
100%
was a short dude.
Yeah,
and, I mean, you get this guy's a little taller.
His whole character is like he's a movie star martial artist. So.
I love it, man. Yeah, no, these are great times for toys, and I will, I'll continue to say it. One of the best places for folks to find out about these toys is to head over and hang out with you guys on Tuesdays, Chat Amigos Assembled, and on Thursdays, They're Not Dolls, and then of course the occasional import Migos, the reviews, the figures of the month. Check out Toy Migos. Also, I didn't bring it up, but Toy Migos and Lago_figs over on Instagram. They'll hook you up with the news and the info, and that's essentially the basis of a lot of what you guys do on the shows. Is scrolling through your own IGs and being like, all right, it's good stuff.
We try to stay up to date with a lot of stuff, and huge shout out to Dario, who's been just a massive pushing force behind all of the stuff that we do, if not number one cheerleader, but driving force, but pushing the Instagram, pushing all kinds of stuff. Like, shout out to all the guys like Lago and Dario and Chamba and Adam and Ernie. I mean, God bless Ernie, man. The guy is a maniac. He's 100% a maniac. There's no other way to say it. Like, when that man is on the screen, your attention is straight to him.
Totally.
Yeah.
I miss the cake. I miss, there's a lot of stuff. But there's always new things. And if it's not him, it's a doppelganger of him that gets a lot of our attention too. So all that to say, it's incredibly fun. Go check that out. And then, you mentioned Dario. Shout out to Dario. I miss seeing him on the show. I miss seeing him fall asleep, all of those things. So
Yep.
Yeah, you guys have got a cool crew. It's super fun. You're always keeping it light, keeping it positive. And I appreciate it. I truly do appreciate the Toy Migos, man.
Thank you. That's the main focus of Thursday night is we're hanging out, having fun. We're having a lot of fun talking about toys, or God knows what else we get into. Like there's a slew of other things that we get into, and it's all about just having fun and talking about the things that we love at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I would be remiss if I didn't say this. It's not just the guys on the screen. Like, the folks in the chat are awesome. Rensu, Fortress Madamus, like everybody, like Shelf Presence, like all of those folks. You get in there, you see Paul Morales, it's like Obi-Wan Chingones, Orale. Like, you just see these folks and you're like, hey, dude, what's up? Good to see you. But it's like, you're a name, but we see each other all the time. And and then you end up being able to see them in real life at a con or something. It's cool. So you guys are doing a great job of building community on screen and off screen.
Thank you. Yeah, we're having the meetup at San Diego, and then on Labor Day weekend, we're having our annual Toy Migos meetup at Frank and Sons.
Try this year. I'm gonna try this year.
Yeah.
That's
so basically after Comic-Con, we're going to start, pushing that in, because that's, I forget the number. It's either 4th or 5th annual. We've been doing it for a few years now. Last year was a lot of fun. Yeah. Last year was crazy. It was an absolute blast. So yeah, if you guys can make it down for that, it's a lot of fun. It's
down
a
in
great
Frankensons in Puente
Hills. Yeah.
Puente Hills. Sorry. Puente Hills.
Yep.
Awesome, man. So you all should now by now know where to find Cheynee180, both on his Instagram and then Toy Migos, and I'll have that on the links over again down by Cheynee's shoulder. Thank you again, Cheynee. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been a blast, dude.
Yeah.
It's always fun talking with you.
Yeah, man. And thank you to everybody who's watching this on the premiere. I'll be back next Sunday and I'll tell you all about how Japan went. And then subscribe and follow, and you should be seeing in the community tab, like me telling you when there's going to be some surprise midweek episodes, because it's summer and I'm like, hey, I've got time. I'm going to hang out with people and record and do all the thing.
To hit that thumbs up and share with your friends. And before you head on out of here, go ahead and drop a couple super chats in here for this man. Yeah.
Oh man, isn't that Ernie's job? But yes, thank you. Yeah, Ernie.
Show this man some love. He works really hard. He puts out
appreciate it, man.
Like all your stuff is extremely well worded, and anytime I can catch the stream, I try to hop on. So
right on, man.
I appreciate what you do and what you're doing over here. So you're killing it, man.
Cool, man. This is what it's about. We just get together, we hang out, we talk about the things we love. All right, man. With that, I'm going to go ahead and play some music. Here, I'm going to do a different song today. We're going to do this and exit with this. Thank you, everybody. See you, Cheynee. I'm going to go ahead and do this and send us out of here. Hell yeah, there it is. Yeah. You can imagine all, like, we're headbanging, we're doing all the things. Driving pedal to the metal, and I am